Hello.
Hello.
Måste de som känner mig.
There we go. All right, welcome to the NaNoWriMo live stream. We're a little bit behind today. Sorry about that, but I just got delayed and stuff is crazy. So, yeah. Even my camera is out of whack today. So hopefully people haven't waited too long for us to pop up. I'm very sorry about that. Hi Cecilia, hi Destiny. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, well, I just
Yes.
I'm a little frazzled today, but I'm going to do my best to deliver an okay writing workshop. So, Ingrid, you've been doing some thinking about your project.
Yep. I have actually managed to write somewhere in the lines of around 500 words, but I've realized that with everything that's been going on in my life and not having been able to write pretty much anything until now, and it's November, it's just not feasible that I'm going to be able to actually do this in about 2 weeks. So I'm just gonna put this on my list of side projects that I'm just gonna enjoy doing and writing, and drop the NaNoWriMo and just write because I enjoy writing. So yeah.
That's probably a very sensible thing to do.
I could go get my laptop actually, but I just figured
Yep.
I'd have it there.
I have a feeling that it might be a good idea.
I've been considering the same thing, if I'm being honest, just because I've had at least 5 days now that I haven't been able to do any writing. And seeing as I've lost, 2, 4, 6, 8, almost 10,000 words worth of working time.
Yeah.
It's seeming a little impossible. But I am going to soldier on and just write as much as I can. And then at the end of the month, that's where I'll be.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'm going to finish 50,000 words, but it's fun to write. I'm enjoying writing the story, so it's just the time pressure is getting to me, and this year just isn't my year, I don't think.
No, I have a feeling that this will, for my part, be a lot better when I've actually planned it out a little bit and I'm coming a little bit more prepared, and when I have a project that I'm really passionate about, because I'm noticing now that I'm kind of like, I'm having real trouble finding motivation to write the story, and I don't like forcing stories just to write them. I like writing stories because I have a joy of telling the story, and I'm not finding that right now. And I think that also has a lot to do with the fact that I've only played Castian once, technically twice, and I'm still sort of getting to know him as a character, and so it's really hard to develop his background without really actually having gotten under his skin properly. So I think I'm just gonna put this to the side for a while and then come back to it later, as I usually do with projects that have stagnated, and sometimes I just find the drive again after a while. So yeah.
But I think that's an important topic that we can talk a little bit more about later on. Just knowing when something isn't worth pursuing at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of writers probably struggle with that. But Cece asks in the chat if we'll do a little summary of what you've done.
Well,
yeah, I've literally written a page. That's how far I've gotten, which is kind of setting the scene and explaining a little bit more of what's been happening. That's kind of it. But basically the story starts when Cassian realizes that he has magic. So that's kind of where the starting point of that story will be. But yeah, like I said, I'm really struggling to find the drive to sort of bring it up from the small notes that I've made in my head. So,
No, but I mean, as you said, you don't really know Cassian yet. I mean, he hasn't been on that many adventures with you yet, so it makes sense that it's difficult for you to write him fully.
So anyone can produce a document for Dungeons and Dragons
hey, Cash.
and sell it.
I have a cat.
I'm eating dinner right now, so...
So, you know, Tanya and Anita were talking to you about it. Like,
I'm not. I'm eating comfort food because I'm sick.
That's
I woke up with the sorest, most swollen throat I've had in quite a while today. And felt absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
So I've just like trudged around in my PJs and my big hoodie and just gone like, I don't want to exist. I just want to be a burrito.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Burrito feelings. Cecilia says, I think a lot of people plan it all before November. I saw multiple videos about their planning for NaNoWriMo 2017 before November. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of
And I
people usually
literally jumped on this in October.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I had notes and I had sort of a general build of what I wanted my story to be before November. So I had planned it out. It's just I knew that there were some days that I wasn't going to be able to write.
Yeah. Like convention days.
Yeah, convention days and Fateswain Con, which is coming up.
Fateswain Con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I knew that November was going to be really busy and that I might not be able to finish, but I figured I'll do it anyway because I enjoy writing and I could use the exercise.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was always the off chance that I would have a huge creative spurt and just write like the wind at some point.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. You really don't. I've sat here and kind of like, I have all these ideas for other projects that I want to write, and lots of fanfic projects that I want to delve into because I'm trash.
You know, a lot of people actually use NaNoWriMo as just a writing month, so they won't write a novel necessarily, but they will write short stories that equate to 50,000 words.
Yeah, no, I'd really like to do like small fic prompts and stuff, but yeah, so I think I'm just gonna be writing little ficlets and stuff instead, and just enjoy writing in general.
Keep me company, you know, on the live streams.
Yeah, definitely. Because I love talking about writing, so I can talk about writing forever, like for ages and ages, as proven by the last workshop. So yeah.
Cece says, sounds interesting though, Heart.
I've gone back and we made a character.
Thank you. K-pop parts.
Yeah, K-pop parts. No, so I was thinking that, you know, I'll do a short summary just for Cece's sake, because she's been here before during a workshop. I'm writing about Valeth, my character from the Dragon Age show here on Fateful Fumble. And I'm just writing about the adventures that they've been on in the podcast, and then I'm sprinkling in flashbacks to her past while she was a mage in the Circle Tower in Ferelden. And the flashbacks I'm writing in first person in kind of a diary sort of way, and the things that are happening in the contemporary time, or you know, present time, are happening in third person. And right now I've written like stuff from the first podcast episode when they go to find the Tevinter slaver called Fenwick. They kill him, then they travel back to Ostwick, and then they meet Cat on the way to Ostwick. And in between there, I have some flashbacks to when, like, one of Valeth's first memories from the Circle Tower and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what I've done. I've hit 13,000 words, if I remember correctly.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not so bad. It's a little bit behind, but it's not so bad. But I've had more time than you, though. I mean, you didn't get to actually get started until like day 5 or something, I think.
Yeah.
No.
and that was just like 2 lines.
Twitter's not cool anymore.
Yeah,
Twitter's
so
changed.
you had a rough start coming into this to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, by comparison, I had like a massive writing spurt in the summer, actually, for my Dungeons and Dragons background, and I basically wrote like 28,500 words in a matter of just a month or so. But that was a month on a project that I was really quite
Hyped about.
motivated and hyped about, and I'm like thinking, okay, that's like on hiatus indefinitely right now, because the module has kind of taken a dip and we've not really played. We've played like once since summer, and that's it. So again, the motivation is kind of gone.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that after Fateful Con, I'm gonna get a little bit more.
When our lives are not crazy anymore.
That too. Yeah. So yeah. But I think it's kind of important to be able to tell yourself that it's not a failure. You're not a failure just because you let something go, and you're kind of accepting. You're accepting that you can't do everything, and that's okay.
Definitely.
I think. Yeah, and I think that's something a lot of writers struggle with. They start something and then they feel guilty for not like pushing through.
Yeah.
And sometimes pushing through is what you need, and just keeping at it. But then sometimes it's just like, no, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So,
it's difficult to figure out which situation you're in. Like, am I in a position where I should fight or flight?
Yeah.
Basically.
Like I definitely will be finishing Banish the Herb at one point.
Yeah.
Because I got the entire skeleton, or like the entire storyline sketched up in a huge document, and like lots of stuff planned. I have like 4 readily written chapters that haven't been published, which will come at the end.
Yeah.
But there needs to be like maybe at least 15 chapters in between them. So yeah.
Ingrid was asked to judge in small convention in Riga.
No, it makes sense. We can't do everything all the time, and life has been filled up with a lot of stuff.
I know this. They're so cool. Sure. It's just so. It's such a breath of fresh air compared to the new conventions.
What I did promise our viewers is that there would be some live reading today, so I'm going to do that. I haven't decided how much I'm going to read. Maybe a page.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I can read out what I've got. Definitely.
Yeah.
And then you can choose some excerpts that you want to read.
Yeah.
See if I can just find the
I
file.
think I have one ready, like the first page of first like journal entry for Fumble.
Go!
Yeah.
Don't know what else to say about that except that things might be changing.
Yeah, it's one of the first person sections, and it's not edited, so bear with me if it's horrible. So it starts. It will only hurt a little bit, and then it will be over. I still remember those words. It's like they've been etched into my brain, and I can't remember my parents' faces, nor the faces of the sisters who brought me to Kinloch Hold from the orphanage. But I do remember those words, and the face of First Enchanter Irving as he smiled at me. I was 5 or 6 years old when my powers manifested, and I was officially accepted into the circle. I say 5 or 6 because no one really knew how old I was at the time. The circle has this ritual they put you through once you've been initiated. They need to extract blood, which goes into a phylactery. They do it to all mages who join the circle, so they can track down potential runaways. Everyone must go through it, But I was so little at the time, I did not understand why they wanted to cut me. I was crying and shivering. I was terrified. But the first enchanter was patient and kind to me, and eventually I let him make a small cut on one of my fingers. I remember staring at the blood as it welled from the cut, gathered at the tip of my finger, and lazily dripped into a tiny glass vial with a mix of horror and fascination. It was my first time seeing blood, but it would not be my last. So, yeah.
I like that.
It's been completely mental today, I tell you.
Thank you.
It's very it's very visual in a way. It summons a lot of imagery.
Yeah.
Oh, me and Rose says,
Rose is late. I'm sorry. You just missed my magnificent loud reading.
You'll just have to go like a little bit back.
Yeah, just a tiny little bit. No, I wanted it like, because I had this picture in my brain of this finger with the cut and the blood, and I really wanted to evoke that scene.
Yeah.
And
I think, yeah, it feels like one of those strong childhood memories kind of things, and it really works, I think.
Cool. No, that's one of the parts that I'm so far the happiest with. It doesn't feel like it's wasting space. It doesn't feel like it's, super rough either. And at least it doesn't feel that way. Even though I found some spelling errors while I was reading.
As you do. Gosh, don't even get me started on that. But yeah, I felt it was very condensed. It wasn't. I didn't feel like there were a lot of platitudes and necessities and stuff. So yeah,
it sounds pretty cruel.
I like it, and it feels it feels genuine for a type of diary structure that you're going for as well.
Yeah, like I tried to keep it kind of conversationally.
Yeah.
Like not too stiff, but still kind of orderly.
Yeah, but informal.
Yeah, because she's an academic, so it wouldn't make sense for her to be all jumbled all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything you would critique, like that could be better?
Not that I could pick up on. I'm kind of like one of those that I would kind of sit down and dissect sentence structure and stuff.
Yeah.
But that usually happens when I'm reading stuff myself and can go back again.
Yeah, it's hard.
But I didn't.
Structure.
There was nothing that popped.
Okay.
That went like, oh, that sounds a bit.
Okay. Well, then that is a very good start for me.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
That sounds delightful.
Right.
Yeah.
I should just dive into it.
Yeah, I suppose so. It's terrifying.
I'll just read it all. It's approximately a little bit over a page.
Cool.
Including the 2 lines that I read last time. So yeah, here goes nothing.
Yay.
Nothing could stop the blood which kept trickling from his nose. The pain had gone from a sharp stab to a dull ache, but his pride was still in tatters like the grey old tunic clinging to his sweaty skin. Cassian Palinurus peeled his face from the ground, dirt sticking to the blood which decorated his right cheek like some grotesque print. Supporting himself on his elbow, he started the slow, groaning process of stacking himself up on his feet. While his nose was making quite the show, his ribs were the main source of the pain, flaring up again as he moved to lean against the wall. Kafas. The swear word fell from his lips as he tilted his head back, and it was a hushed thing, like a secret forbidden from the world of sound. His mother would have smacked him. His mother. His train of thought did a somersault into a new direction, drenched in a flood of panic. How was he going to explain this to his mother? He wouldn't be able to work for at least a few days, at best. His chest twinged with pain again, as if to tell him to mind the uncontrolled heaving. More like a week, he conceded bitterly. His assailants were long gone. They'd left him close to unconscious in the alley he still found himself in, their message thoroughly received. Stay off our turf. He leaned down with the intent to rip off a piece of cloth from his tunic to stop the bleeding from his nose. But as he did, it was as if something snapped. White-hot pain shot into his chest. It was so overwhelming his vision blurred, stars appearing in his peripherals, and it was followed by an increasingly tightening sensation in his throat. He couldn't breathe. Adrenaline rushed through him on a tsunami of panic. He couldn't recall falling, but the ground was pressing against his face again. His vision was darkening, the world tightening around him, clutching at his skin as if to squeeze him out of it. Darker, tighter, suffocating, too tight, too dark. And then heat, smooth like warm milk and honey, spreading out from the chest. Air, at last, swallowed in big, greedy gulps. A knitting sensation, like blood rushing both ways through his veins. Light, warm, glowing light, dim and gentle, the light of evenings of shared food and wine and music. Pain was gone. The tightness evaporated. His nose had stopped bleeding, and he felt weirdly energized. He touched the bridge of his nose and found it unbroken. Someone must have healed him. This could be nothing other than the work of magic. Instinct made him look around, but there was not a soul in sight, and the alley as deserted as it had been before. The sun had already begun to set, so the vendors in the streets nearby would long since have closed shop and returned home, and it was yet too early for the patrons of the wine houses to litter the lower districts of Manrathas. This left one uncomfortable possibility open. He had used magic. Cassian carefully got on his feet and looked at his hands, still grimy and filthy with blood and dirt. Can't be, he muttered under his breath. He'd seen magic used before, had felt its power rack his own body. He knew the dangers it held, both in the Fade and in the physical world. He had seen what it could do to people, how it could make you fall, lose your way, lose yourself, and it instilled him with fear. There we go.
Well, that's the thing. Like, when do you start to...
I have burger in my mouth.
Burger!
Burger! I mean, I would just listen to you, like, read for ages and ages. Like, if I had your voice and just a story on audiobook, I would be happy for hours.
Is that 50,000 per month?
I'd love to do audiobooks. I mean, I think it's so
just
much
seems
fun.
like so much fun.
First 50,000 is tax free.
No, but
Definitely.
I'm just... You're so good at being descriptive without being boring or using too many words. Like, there's flourish, but not too much. And it just really, like, paints pretty pictures in my head.
Yay! Hopefully not too pretty.
No, but maybe I should say vivid.
Vivid,
is
yes,
a better
yes.
word. Yes, yeah. Because I can totally imagine Cassian lying there just as, you know, this pain shoots through him. And, yeah.
I've been doing a lot of punctured lungs lately, I realised.
Yeah.
That's kind of featured in another fic, but it was just like, it's just like, it's so efficient.
It is. It's
and
dramatic.
so likely as well.
Yeah, it is.
Because it takes so little to you know, crack a rib, and if you have a cracked rib, that can cause a punctured lungs. So it's like, that works.
For sure. So
stick with what you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. What do you guys watching think of our writing samples? Did you like them? Did you have anything you want to say about them? You would like to know? Or if you want us to read something that you've written, you're very welcome to like message us and send it to us or something. That would be fun too.
It's really easy to read the wrong
That'd be awesome.
Oh, I'm starving. I have been like standing in line.
Oh gosh, yeah.
For 5 hours for 5 hours.
Oh no.
And I forgot my bank card at home. So I had nothing to eat and nothing to drink. And I was just like, fuck my life. I'm so tired right now. So
Oh, fudge.
I was starving when I came home 20 minutes
I can
ago.
imagine. I can imagine. I would have had a headache and a full-blown hangryness
Oh yeah.
just shrouding my entire being.
I was borderline hangry. For sure.
Doesn't take much for my part, so I admire your stamina.
Lots of years in the service industry. That's
Yeah. Oh gosh. I have so much respect for people in the service industry.
Yeah, me too. I quit. There's a reason why.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that anymore.
Anyone who works in the service industry deserves like a medal.
Yeah.
Just for doing it.
Or a raise or something.
Yeah, at least a raise. Definitely.
Yeah, no, that was really fun though. I really enjoyed like listening to how different our stories are, even though they are still about kind of the same thing.
Yeah, they have a similar kind of theme to begin with, at least, because they're both mages, and it's both kind of at the beginning of their mage career.
Self-discovery and stuff.
Yeah.
I've written like one chapter where she you know, overestimates her powers and kind of fucks up and nearly kills herself, which is a fun twist. Because she was trying to make a present for her only friend in the tower, so she was trying to animate a little figurine and make it move, but the spell she was using was not meant for that. It was meant for soul transfer.
Whoopsie.
Oops. So she nearly transferred her entire being into that figurine, but because it was too small to keep her, the spell didn't work. But yeah, she nearly killed herself.
Accidental suicide.
Yeah,
Great.
So she got in a bit of trouble for that. But it's also going to lead to her harrowing, because they realized because she was able to actually perform such advanced magic that they need to put her through it. She doesn't know that yet, though, so I feel sorry for her.
Oh, poor girl. Poor girl.
Poor girl.
Yeah.
So yeah. I've been having a lot of fun with the journal entries, because those are the ones I can play around with the most, whereas the things that are based off the podcast I kind of need to keep very close to the source material.
Yeah.
As close as I'll bother, at least.
Or antagonism.
It won't be 100% the same. Let's see. Wienro says, those jobs suck unless you like being harassed in one way or form every working day and hit on by 30 to 70-year-old men. Yes. Yeah. That's what the service industry is pretty much like.
And that's my comment to that.
Yes. I concur.
Like, not impressed.
No.
Move along.
Move along, yes. So if you work in the service industry, Lee and Rose, I'm sorry on your behalf.
Yeah. We appreciate your service.
Yes, very much so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I just flicked to the page of the stream just as my thing was going on. It's always absurd to see your own face derpy.
Yeah.
Like, I did not expect that right now. Streamception.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually, I've been thinking about, once my throat isn't sore as hell and my voice is kind of back to normal again, I really want to continue a kind of side project that I started a while back, which is basically making an audiobook out of a fan fiction that a friend of mine has written. And it's a really, really interesting fan fiction, because it's a Dragon Age fan fiction about Inquisitor Trevelyan, but it's more focused on politics and bigger themes than it is on kind of like romance and
Mhm.
that sort of stuff. It does have elements of romance, obviously, in it, but that's not what the story is about in the main. This is like Inquisitor Trevelyan's story, and she's basically written Amrita Trevelyan as a girl who comes from a family of massive Templar support. Well, they're like massive Templar supporters, extremely devout Andrastians, very strictly religious, and in that sense believes magic is a sin and an abomination. And then, as I think a kid, probably maybe 8 years old or something, Amrita realizes that she's a mage. And gets sent to the tower, and it's just when I read it, it just screamed a metaphor for growing up in a religious home as an LGBTQ person, and it was just like, this is so interesting and so well written. It's called Blood and Magic, and it's on AO3, so if you want to check it out, I would highly recommend it. It's really, really good. I've not actually read all of it yet because it's quite a big fic, and I'm way behind, but it's so well written, and there's so many interesting characters in it, and I fell in love with it, and so I started recording it as kind of a podfic or an audiobook, and I had a lot of fun doing that, so I'm hoping to maybe tap into that again and do a little more of it, just on the side whenever I have the time and stuff, as a little cozy project.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun thing to do. What I'm liking about the whole NaNoWriMo project is that I am learning so much about Valeth that I hadn't really thought about before. So, even if I don't end up with a finished novel at the end of this, I think I'll still be happy that I did it, because I got to know her better and write her story, sort of. So, makes me happy, because I really like her. I haven't, been this attached to a character in years. So
that's such a good feeling, though. It's such a good feeling.
Yeah, she's my baby.
Oh, hello. Bobby is here. He's eyeing up my snacks.
Stay away from the snacks, Rick.
Yeah, blink and you'll miss it. My Giflar! It is my Giflar!
Also, Rienro says, perfectly executed expression, Ingrid. Thank you very much. That refers to the service job thingy.
Yeah.
She lasted for 5 years, but not going back. No, you should not. It is not healthy.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. But yeah, I think any process of kind of writing a character, you have to make a lot of choices. And I think it's a really efficient way to sort of establish a character. However, for my part, I find that often when I do that, if I do like the 30 questions or something for a character, I'll start writing and I'll just find that, no, this doesn't work. It just, because characters have a life of their own in a way. And suddenly they just go off doing stuff that you hadn't planned, and you're like, but you was, oh, okay. I guess we're going this way then.
Yep.
Right. Bye.
Yep.
And and that's also why I like finding the character through playing the character. Which I'm hoping to do with Cassian. Yeah, and then also, I mean, especially in RPGs, it depends a lot on your teammates as well, how they interact with the character, which sides of that character they bring out. So, and I think that translates well to books as well, or general writing, how the characters that surround your protagonist have a lot to say on how the protagonist evolves and which sides are amplified.
Yeah. It's funny you should mention that, because I was sitting here thinking the exact same thing. Sometimes, Sunniva will do something with Cyril, and I will be, well, fuck that shit. That's not what I was going to do, but I guess we're doing that now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Who you surround your main character with, your protagonist with, has a big effect on what's going to happen. And honestly, sometimes I find that I like the sidekicks or the NPCs better than I like the main characters in stories.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes they have more interesting quirks. Because the hero is very often someone that everyone is supposed to be able to identify with somewhat.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes that can interesting, because you have to have certain functions for a protagonist.
Yeah.
And they aren't that easily removed. Because they're supposed to be the catalysts or the ones who drive the plot. And I think one of the most interesting twists I've seen on that, or takes I've seen on that, is Nick Harkaway's The Gone Away World, which it's a one-off novel, and it's exceptionally well written. The man has exquisite humor and a grasp of language, of politics, and just different genres, which baffles me. And it's just, I've read the first 2 paragraphs and I was just like, I am finishing this book ASAP.
That means
because
he did his job.
Basically the book is about the sidekick. And the sidekick to this big, great hero called, I think it's Gonzo Lubitsch. And it's set in a post-apocalyptic future setting, and I can't really say too much about it without like ruining it, so I'm just gonna say it's a post-apocalyptic adventure with ninjas and pirates and new exciting ways to make flapjacks, including a flamethrower.
Okay, that sounds very promising.
Yes.
You need to link me this book.
Yes. It is a very good read.
I think maybe one of the books that has done the best job of making me love both the protagonist and the sidekicks equally is The Gentleman Bastards trilogy by Scott Lynch. And especially The Lies of Loch Lamora. Because they're all assholes in one way or the other. But they are so lovable that you can't help but just be like, aw, you're scamming people, but you're adorable.
That's pretty awesome.
It is. It's
yeah.
Amazing. I've listened legit to the 3 books in the series so far. I've listened through them like 3 times each. So
that is pretty good.
Yeah, like I don't fall that much in love with the series very often, but the Gentleman Bastard series I really, really love.
Yeah.
But then again, I like rogues and scoundrels and, books about that kind of character. Those are my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I can dig that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I can't predict where it goes. I have no idea. Like, the first time I listened through those books, I was like, what? This is what it ends? What? So
yeah, that was kind of my experience with Gone Away World as well. It was just like every turn was just like, wow. Audible.
Yes.
Audible is
I haven't been able to afford a subscription for like a year, but as soon as I can, I am getting back on that Audible train.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I use
It's
it.
good
I use
stuff.
it for sleeping. Like if I have trouble going to sleep, I just put on a book and then I'll just let it play until I'm like dozed off and then just turn
That's
off.
really clever.
Yeah.
That's
It
really
really
clever.
works because there's no loud I mean, because podcasts often have intros and outros and loud noises, but audiobooks are very like even in the audio quality and the.
This is true.
Yeah, so it works really well for
I
me.
tend to just, play Sudoku.
Yeah.
Or solitaire. Spider solitaire. Yeah.
Yeah. I had to stop because sometimes I used to play a lot of cell phone games when I couldn't sleep, but the light from the screen keeps me awake, so it's basically an effort in futility. So
Yeah, no, I turned the screen completely down and turn off the blue filter and stuff, but I need to do something that's kind of like that engages my brain in a very routine type of action, and I fall right asleep. It's just like 2 rounds of Spider Solitaire, and I'm like,
well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Audible would work for you too then. Who knows?
Oh yeah. I haven't tried it as such, but Cecilia Hansen says yes, same Anita. Audible also has a sleep timer.
Very clever.
I did not know this. This is useful information.
It's very practical. Stuff. I mean, it's either that or like relaxation meditation apps. I've tried that too. Sometimes they work. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm so over this hippie shit. Give me a book. It depends on my mood.
Yeah, I need distraction.
Yeah.
Because if not, I'll just start daydreaming, or I will start mentally working on my next cosplay project.
Yeah. Yep.
And going through like, I'm gonna make this like that, and I mentally like envision myself working on it, and it's just like, no. Or write lists. Mentally writing lists. Gosh, it's yeah.
Oh, Cece has a pro tip. You can get a free book on each of the Audible sites, audible.com.co.uk, and other types of endings.
Ooh,
that's very good.
That
you
is
just
very
sign
clever.
up for each of them. I'm gonna do that. Totally going to do that. Free book.
Yes. I approve. I approve of this. I have some books on my list that I need to plow through, and I love listening to audiobooks when I work on crafting stuff.
Yeah.
Because then I don't have to watch something.
Exactly. So, that's why podcasts are like my go-to thing, because they're free.
Yeah.
So, but if I had unlimited access to audiobooks, all the time.
Yes.
Oh, Cece's writing again. Haha, yes, Ingrid, same. Cosplay is hard to not think about, lol.
It's true. Yeah. It's funny because it's true.
Yep. Hashtag real life cosplay problems.
So true. So true. But yeah, I've got like quite a lot of fic ideas, like short fic ideas, or maybe even long fic ideas that I wanna put into the real world. So it's gonna be a lot of free stuff because I'm free trash these days, and all the swimming dogs. Yes. But it's probably gonna be like a lot of AUs because I like diverting from canon.
Why not?
It's fun. Why not?
No, I mean, if
maybe I'll jump on
the. Psyched about, then you do that.
Yeah, maybe I'll jump on the coffee shop AU train and just interrogate Rick, and it's like, tell me all there is to know about working in a coffee shop.
You could do that. True. You have expert research material right there.
Exactly. There we go.
Right, what you know.
Or maybe I'll write a Yakuza thing, because I stumbled into reading about Japan and tattoos because it was mentioned in a comment somewhere on a thing that apparently if you have a tattoo, you are very likely to be banned from going to public swimming pools and onsens and gyms in Japan.
Huh.
I did not know this.
Neither did I. I'll just have to wear ankle socks.
Yeah,
or,
and now
thigh-highs.
it's basically because there's a law that says that people who only people with a medical certificate or something or medical degree can pierce a client's skin. Tattooists are being criminalized basically in Japan.
Huh.
So technically it's illegal to run a tattoo parlor in Japan unless you're a doctor. Which is just like, what? I did not know this.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, that's a lot of education for tattooing.
Yeah, and it all actually originated from this law that they put into place because of a lot of malpractitioners within the cosmetics industry of like cosmetic tattoos and chemical peeling and stuff. And so it was meant to aim at them. And then someone started using that law against tattoo parlors. And someone took it to court and they lost quite recently, actually. So
that sucks.
Yeah, but it's all to do with you know the stigma around tattoos in Japan because of connections to the Yakuza and
illegality.
So, but I found it really fascinating to read about, and I just ended up like reading tons of articles about it today. So I was just like, "Ooh, this is interesting."
That's the fun stuff about like doing research and things. You end up on tangents, and then
so
afterwards you think, if someone reads my search history now, it's gonna look really weird or upsetting. Like, I wrote a steampunk-inspired story 2 years ago, I think. And because it had to do with alchemy and mechanical things, and I wasn't really sure where I was going, I ended up researching nuclear reactions, nuclear plants, and how nuclear energy works. So, and at the end of my research, it looked like I was trying to make a nuclear reactor or a bomb of some sort.
Yeah. I actually started reading a book called, I think it was the History of American Mining Industry for a Western LARP once, and I actually found it strangely engaging. I thought that this is going to be like the driest book ever, but it was actually quite interestingly written.
It helps.
So,
anything is interesting if you write it well enough.
Don't call me out like this. Hashtag hide that search history being roast, right? Like, I came here to write and talk about writing, and I'm feeling so attacked right now.
Yes, because we've done a lot of writing talk today. Well, half and half at least.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but I think it's all kind of relevant.
Yeah,
books are relevant to writing
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we've touched upon the whole thing, knowing when to quit and when to fight thing, is pretty relevant too for NaNoWriMo, because a lot of people really struggle with finishing or feeling guilty for not finishing.
Yeah, I think a good sort of a good rule is health first.
Yes, always. And sanity.
Yeah, so mental and physical health first.
So Cece says,
yes.
Fun fact, Sophie Turner co-reads, I think, the last book in the Mortal Instruments series. Ooh, that is very cool.
Yeah, I actually listened to that audiobook. So, and yeah, she's pretty good.
Cool.
Much better than the book.
Yeah, not to diss Cassandra Clare, but
totally to diss Cassandra Clare.
But totally to diss Cassandra Clare. I hate her writing. I'm sorry. But I mean, it's not worse than Twilight, but no, thank you. But maybe it's just because I don't like young adult novels. I don't know, there's just something about it that I just can't like. I tried. I read the 2 first books in her Mortal Instruments series years and years ago, and I just hated them. It was like, I'm gonna finish because I actually bought these books on sale, and I don't buy books and not finish books. But no thanks.
Yeah.
Kim is
I
here.
think if I was to recommend a young adult kind of supernatural series, I would recommend the Engelsk Fors-trilogien, which is it had a movie based on it, which was good, but the books are way better, and it's basically about a bunch of witches in a tiny little village in Sweden. And it's really well written, and it just follows these I think it's 4 or 5, I can't remember now, very different teenage girls, and it's kind of like, it's one of those books where there isn't really, I mean, there is a main protagonist, but everyone feels just as important, and I think everyone can find one of these that or several that they kind of relate to. And yeah, I really liked it. It's very open and genuine about, you know, teenagers' lives today, and in a very non-judgmental kind of way as well. So yeah,
that sounds cool. I think I could have gotten into that, possibly.
Yeah. The first book is called The Circle, so
easy to remember.
Yeah, I have them all if you want to borrow them, cool. Anita.
Yeah. I'm always open to new books. Yes. Ian Rose says, it's not worse than Twilight. Such compliments.
Yes, we're feeling very generous today.
CZ says the same thing. I started reading Soundless by Rochelle Mead. It was really boring, to be honest. The same thing over and over again, and even though the idea is interesting, the book isn't that much. So I stopped reading that one. Yeah. That's cool. I've lemmed books before. I don't know if you guys know what lemming is, but if you hate a book and you can't finish it, it's called to lem. So I lemmed it.
Ah. Well, what's the origin of that expression?
It actually started on a show called Swords and Lasers, which is a fantasy and science fiction literary show.
Oh, yeah.
And they were reading a book called Memories I Found in a Bathtub, or Stories I Found in a Bathtub, by this girl called Stanislav Lem. And the female host, Veronica, she was like, no, so sorry, I can't finish this book. It's horrible. It's so boring. So she started referring to it as lemming it, because every time she could not finish a book after that she would refer to Stanislav Lem and his horrible, boring book.
See, that's how I felt when I started trying to read Silmarillion from, cover to cover.
Oh, yeah.
I totally lemmed that.
I finished it, but I was close to lemming it several times.
I got to the rivers every time. It's the same every time. I get to the rivers and I'm just like, nope, I'm done.
I was like,
so I think I'm just gonna dip in and just read stories instead.
Just get me through Baron and Luthien. That was my goal.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I have anything young adult in my bookshelf.
Odin's Barn, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
The Ravenlings.
I have that one, and I enjoy it. I find it sometimes to be a little bit predictable. Nothing,
I can see what you get.
Mm-hmm. Just because I recognize a lot of the tropes that Siri is using very cleverly in the book, and because I've been reading for so long and I'm so familiar with the fantasy universe and all of the tropes that belong to it, I very easily recognize, oh, this is going to happen, or oh, this character is going to do something like this or that. And
yes, same. But I still enjoyed it. It was an enjoyable ride.
It was. It's an interesting story, and it's an interesting world. I don't agree with the whole ninja secret brotherhood thing, because it was very, very Asian culture into very Western or Nordic culture, and I find it hard to make those two concepts merge. But beyond that, I love the books. They're very entertaining, and especially when they go to like the real world. I thought that was very convincingly written.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the second second book.
Book number 2 is my favorite, actually.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite too, actually, as well, in spite of my trepidations towards it when I realized that it was going to be another setting for huge parts of the books, because I really loved the first books and the setting, and then I was just like, no, actually, I really like the drive. It's kind of like The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
It's got so much meat, whilst like the first book is setting everything up, setting the stage, and everything, and the second book is just like, it's so full, and I love that about it, and I think it takes a lot of well planned writing to make the second book as good or better than the first.
Yeah, it's kind of like dropping a second album. It's always hard.
Yeah, but I think the fact that CD already had it planned as a trilogy.
Yeah.
When she started writing it, I think that helps, because then you kind of know how to structure it.
Yeah, definitely. I think having a master plan really helps. Kim says in the chat, I love Silmarillion, the best. Seriously, read it so many times, she says.
Oh.
Cece says, also beautiful creatures. The first half is quite meh, not that exciting. Read the first half on and off for 6 months. Then the second half I read in 2 days on holiday. Very exciting.
Ooh.
And We and Rose says, these streams make me realize I read way too little.
Oh, but you draw so much.
Yes.
It's okay.
Can't do everything.
No, this is true.
Cece says, I haven't even finished Harry Potter yet. And no, that does not make me a fake fan. No, would never suggest that. Do you have time? You're still a small bean.
Yes, this is true. Small bean. And as long as at least you read The Prisoner of Azkaban, that's the important book.
Yeah, it's a very important book.
It's my favorite. That's my favorite.
We and Rose says, I also haven't read all Sorry Not Sorry. See? You're not the only one.
Oh.
No, but legit, I used to read all the time before, like a few years ago. All the time. But I just don't have the time to actually properly read on a regular basis anymore. So if I read, it's over the holidays. Like I'll binge read 2 books or something, or I'll just have to listen to it on audio because that's okay when I work or stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I completely resonate with that. That's why I find myself reading a lot of fan fiction instead, because it's like I know it's going to be about stuff like characters that I'm interested in, and I know that it's not going to be like the full length of a novel, unless it says 100,000 gazillion words. But you can actually, since you can check the word count, it's kind of like, yeah, this is within my reach of being able to read, and it has, I find, a lot more representation of themes and characters that I would like to see more of in literature than a lot of books do, in regards to gender and sexual orientation and people of color and so on and so forth.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Which is also a subject we should probably talk a little bit about, representation in books.
Yeah.
But maybe not today.
Not today.
Not today.
I say not today. Not today.
Because we've been going for about an hour now, actually. Believe it or not. Yay! So we've kind of filled our quota for today. So unless there's anyone in the chat who has something they want to ask about or just quickly mention before we say goodnight, then we'll just finish off, I figure.
Yeah.
Cece says, but like I do so many things. I want to read, but I have to be free and not too tired and not have anything else to do. School. If I didn't have school, I would probably read a lot more. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If I didn't have a job, I would read a lot more. Or a podcast or a live stream.
A life.
And Weandro says,
fan fiction and online comics takes time too. This is true, but it's kind of like I can finish a fanfic in less than an evening. Hell, if it's a short fic, then it's an hour maybe, and then it's done, and I can like move on and do what I need to do the rest of that day. So yeah.
Yeah. Weandro says that the last book I bought and was all excited about was actually released in 2010. Damn, I'm having a moment right now. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a while ago.
Yeah.
And Kim says, Cece, enjoy your young days. There is even less time when adulting. Yes. Very true.
This is so true.
Rest in peace.
So true. Yes.
But yeah, if anyone wants any good book recommendation, you can hit me up or hit Ingrid up. I'm pretty sure we have some good ones to recommend. We've already talked about someone during this episode, so yeah. Yep. All right, I think we're just going to say that we're going to end it there. Thank you for joining me, Ingrid, and hopefully we'll be able to do this later.
I'm gonna, hopefully my mug is a little less sick and snotty and next time.
Yeah. Usually
I can hope.
Hopefully that would have been on a Thursday this week, but we're going to have a technical test at Greta's house on Thursday.
Yep.
So we might just have to keep it to one stream this week. Because time.
All the more material on Monday.
Yeah, next Monday. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys soon, and I'll post my excerpt from what I read on the Fateful Fumble Facebook page, so you can read it if you want to. And Ingrid, if you want to do the same, you're welcome to.
If not, it's on the stream.
Yeah. So you can listen to it again if you like.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna end it now. Bye, guys.
Bye.